fantastic, this thing. I'm going to talk about books and reading as a driver of sustainable development. The white. Okay, thank you. My presentation is in 4 parts. I will start with the challenge, and then I will present you the research. I've just finished. This is the very first presentation of a new research. And so excuse me for all the difficulties in presenting it. Then I will tell you about the map, and then some closing questions. So let's start with the challenge. Reading is probably the most powerful tool for the construction of knowledge, capacity, capabilities, and for the production of public and private cognitive capital. This has been the main issue of the whole day, so I'm not going to talk about it. We have great presentation about it. I think giving us all the clear clues and elements to be able to sustain this sentence. But then, if books and reading carry this responsibility and this value on their shoulders, why are they not present among the Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goal? This is the question of my presentation. So, the research. I don't know how many of you are know about the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It was adopted by all United Nations members in 2015. It created 17 World Sustainable Development Goals, like the fight against hunger and the fight against poverty. And these 17 goals were related to 169 targets to guide the nations towards a more sustainable future by 2030. Why is the agenda so important? Because it expresses a world vision, a vision of the future. At a certain point, the United Nations decided that they needed a new vision of a sustainable future. And to have a vision, it also means to have policies. So, to work with every single country in the world to build policies able to reach that 17 goals. And to have policies means also to have money in it, to make investments. So this is not just a vision, this is a building of policies, and this is also a strategic balance, a strategic way of investing money in our future. So this is a big problem because culture is really underrepresented in the sustainable goals. It is explicitly mentioned in only one goal, the 11.4, so it's an under goal, and which says strengthening efforts to protect and safeguard the world's cultural and natural heritage, and is indirectly referred in 3 others. So, this is where the story begins, because at a certain point, the Joint Research Center, which is an agency of the European Commission, decided that he wanted to explore more the possibility of talking about local development using cultural indicators. As you will see, there are many exercises, many books, many research about that. But the European Commission, the Joint Research Center, wasn't satisfied about the possibility of using these indicators in order to develop and monitor local development. Also, why? the Joint Research Center is testing many development indicators at local level, and they didn't have cultural indicators related to development. So asked me to help them and to work with them to study, to analyze the sector, and maybe to produce some possible indicator to be tested at local level. And so me, with Iraklis Stamos from the Joint Research Center, we made a research, a paper that was organized in these 3 sections. The first section is about the evolution of the international debate on culture's role in achieving sustainability, how we got to not having cultural indicators in the Sustainable Development Goals. The second section is about which tools have been used that could be used to monitor the link between culture and development. And then the third part is the experimental one, when we started to identify the group of indicators. We go to the 3 phases. This was the first section of this work. This work is going to be published in an article, but has not been published yet. So we have been going through the whole literature and all the debates. I work a lot about the Cultural 2030 Goal campaign, which is a very important lobbying campaign that has been working also with UNESCO a lot to try to push, to lobby for cultural indicators inside the sustainable goals. The key point was to understand how much culture was actually an enabler and a driver of sustainable development goals, and how it could be monitored, how could be identified in specific indicators. In the section 2, we analyzed all the research that have been produced with indicators. There is a very important, the main work is done by UNESCO in 2019, the Culture 2030 Indicators. They define 7 key policy dimensions: economy, education, governance, social participation, gender, communication, heritage, and a set of 22 indicators. The very amazing thing about this is a very interesting work, because under every one of these indicators, they try to find way of measuring it, so way of funding the data. So it's an enormous exercise, but there are no books in it at all. The books do not exist in this amazing and complex work by UNESCO. Another very interesting work, I'm just telling you, there are many others, but probably these are the 2 more useful, is the Cultural and Creative Cities Monitor, which was especially interesting because it works a lot on creative industries, and so looking for many creative indicators, but again, so no books in it. So we, at this point, decided to try to take the best out of all this literature. So we put together we analyzed a map of all these indicators we find in all the literature, and we identified 43 indicators, but 4 out of these 43 are almost completely absent from the public agenda, and are those concerning data on book consumption and reading. So the very amazing thing is that when I actually start realizing, it was like, okay, here we are all the archaeological site, we are all the museum, we have keywords like access, participation, but where is reading? And in fact, I called the friends from Ayer, saying, do you know anything about it? I mean, what happened? Why is it possible? And anyway, we decided with JRC, with the organization promoting this work, to force and to put these new indicators regarding books in the 43 map. And we divided the map in 4 areas: economy, diversity, social inclusion and participation, environment and well-being, and education, knowledge and skills. And then we decide to extract, I'm not going to show the 43 map, it will take too long, but I'll just show you an extract of this, because we decide that for a pilot test, we probably need very few but very strong, clear, monitorable indicators. So we extracted 10. And I show you the 10. First area is economy. So there are 2 very key indicators. One is a typical expenditure indicator, the overall contribution of the cultural sector to the economy in a given territory. We always have been very, very careful to be on the local level. And the other one is the availability of official register regarding tangible and intangible heritage. So it's let's say, an indicator monitoring the protection, safeguarding, promotion, and valorization of heritage through its recognition. Then we went to the second area, which is diversity, inclusion, and participation. And we have 3 important indicators. The first one is access to culture. And the classical indicator is the overall availability of cultural facility in a certain geographical area in relation to the resident population. And then there are 2 indicators that probably are the one most studied also from the different International Institute of Statistics of the different countries. They are the 2 about museums. So visitors to museum and similar institutions, state and non-state, per residents. And the other one is the cultural demand as an index of museum and similar state institute, cultural demand index of museum, similar non-state institution. Just as an information, on the right side, you see possible connected SDGs targets. I have no time to go into that, but what we tried is to show as all the targets of the SDGs goals could be also used, with cultural indicators. But then now we get to the point related to this day, which are the indicators relating to books. Because we thought that participation and inclusion could be further explored with the purchase of books. Which purchase of books, I mean, of course, you are much more expert than I am about that. In some countries, in some European countries, is fully monitored, probably not in all European countries, not fully, and probably not fully in the rest of the world, but it's just very strong indicators that I think, I mean, this must be clear to you, in every statistical exercise, not all the indicators that are used are indicators already there, especially if you think about all the countries in the world. Of course, many countries have difficulties in reaching some indicators, but to have an indicator like the purchase of books, it means that it's a strategy. So it gives you the vision to reach. Then, of course, from the purchase of books, then you can arrive to reading, which is a second step. But, you know, we can start from the purchase of a book. It's always something. It gives us, it tells us something. It tells us, I think, a lot about development. Then another indicators that has, you know, much to do with the previous presentation is the visitors to library, that we thought it was very important. Also for all the reasons that have just been said. Libraries changed a lot their shape, also during COVID. They are transforming, they are opening, they are becoming more and more open to new possibilities coming from contemporary activities. And so we thought it was a very interesting point of observation, not only as an indicator, but something to be observed, you know, in its changing in the future. And then all this is also very interesting in his view in the digital possibilities. And again, book is very interesting because it was clear from all the presentation we heard, you can really read these indicators you know, in a physical way, but also comparing to digital. And you can see and you can monitor, having both the indicators on physical and digital, purchase and reading and access, you can really have very interesting data regarding trends in time in all the countries of the world. And I think it's amazing indicators regarding development. So the online cultural participation in this case refers to individual online engagement with cultural creation. So cultural creation means also access to museum, not just access to a book. But of course, then in this indicator could be refined in many other sub-indicators. These are the last two indicators of the map. One regards climate adaptation and resilience. And the other one is related to culture and artistic education, which again we know have much to do with books. And the second one is percentage of instructional hours dedicated to cultural education in the first 2 years of secondary school. But also the indicator regarding cultural project to climate adaptation and release is very interesting, and again, has to do a lot with books. So, closing questions, my last slide. So if we believe that we cannot think of facing the challenge of ecological and social transformation without starting from culture, and access to books and reading is one of the most powerful tools for social change, an indispensable driver to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of the 2030 Agenda and to monitor its progress between different regions of the world and over time. So why has book availability and reading not been considered a central driver of Sustainable Development Goals until now? And shall we bring this issue into the academic debate and the publishing research agenda, and how? Thank you.